Joining me today via Zoom is Mario Jimenez. He's the campaign director at Common Cause New Mexico. It's a nonpartisan group with a stated goal of advocating for the core values of democracy in our state. That's things like election access, integrity, and creating a representative government. Thank you for joining us today, Mario.
Thank you for having me, Lou. Appreciate it.
Of course. Now, your group had poll watchers out at various voting locations across the state on Election Day. What can you report from what they saw?
Well, in addition to that, one of the big things we ran was our 866 voter protection hotline, where we received phone calls from throughout the state, voters throughout the state, concerned citizens throughout the state, regarding the election, how it was taking place, or any questions. For a primary election, this particular one, it did go relatively smooth. We didn't hear any major issues. The majority of our phone calls that we received and assistance that was needed throughout the election was simply finding out how to return absentee ballots, where an individual can go vote, and the details of our newly implemented same-day registration.
Great. And would you say that that hotline was successful? Did it help people find the information they needed to get to the polls and do their duty?
I would say so, yes, sir. In addition to our hotline, we did collaborate with a lot of other nonpartisan organizations here in New Mexico. And one of those that I'd like to highlight is NAVA, Native American Voting Project, who really helped us get out our 866 hotline number in the Native American communities. As you may remember, in our last primary election, it was during the high times of COVID. So those communities were definitely, in many ways, disenfranchised due to polling locations closing. So we really wanted to focus those efforts on those communities and make sure that they did have access to a ballot so they can cast their vote.
Sure. Now, overall, we saw, according to the Secretary of State's office, 25% turnout for a primary election. How does that number compare for what you expected, what you would hope to see for a midterm primary?
Yeah, those numbers of 25% actually does track with historical numbers in a gubernatorial election. Now, for this particular gubernatorial election, we did have one of the major parties have an uncontested gubernatorial race. So I think that also led to us not having a much higher turnout. The last gubernatorial primary saw just a little bit more of 27%. But even then, that was only 1,000 more voters than what we received in yesterday's election.
Okay. Being realistic, obviously 100% is ideal, but what would you like to see ideally from a turnout number, and how would we get there other than what you guys are already doing with the voting hotlines and things like that?
Ideally, we'd love to see 60%, a minimum of 60% in elections. That really shows engagement of our voters, of the residents of New Mexico. But I think another aspect of low turnout that we need to look at when we're looking at these types of elections is the individuals who are running for office. If you look up and down the ballot across all three major parties that were participating in yesterday's election, there are quite a few races that are uncontested. So a lot of these races are not going to be decided until the general election, with the exception of some of those that have only primary contestants and will not be seeing any general election opponents. So I think it's important that we continue to encourage individuals to run for office and encourage other voters to challenge the incumbents and to do a better job. With more candidates, we're going to see higher turnout.
Sure. You mentioned the recent updates in the voting procedures that you helped communicate to people, like the same-day registration, expanded absentee voting available. In terms of how those things went this year, would you say that those were positive and successful steps for our voting procedure?
I think they were tremendously successful. And, just looking at the numbers from yesterday's election, we had just a little over 10,000 New Mexicans take advantage of the newly implemented same-day registration. Now, this was a process that was taking place throughout the early voting process. So many of these individuals registered throughout the early voting process as well as election day. And so the exact number is 10,038. And we saw a large number of those individuals take advantage of that for not only the Democratic, but as well as the Republican primary election yesterday. So many of these people may have been affiliated with a minor party, such as Green Party or or independent, declined the state, or these are individuals who legitimately registered for the very first time and decided to participate in a primary election. So I think the biggest highlight of yesterday's election itself was that we had 10,000 New Mexicans who participated in this primary election who otherwise would have stayed home and not voted, or showed up to the polls and not qualified to cast their ballot.
Yeah, those are good numbers there for sure. Now, your group, it has another stated goal of reducing the influence of money in politics. The GOP nomination for governor brought in millions. The Democratic race for attorney general, with just two candidates, more than $1 million combined, was spent just in the primary. For people to understand, is this simply an issue of the big totals? Is it how the money's spent, or is it where the money's coming from? And I guess what I'm asking is, why should voters care about these big fundraising totals?
I think it's a combination of all those things you just mentioned. Money in politics really does deter your average individual from wanting to participate in the political process and run for office. New Mexico, for example, does have an unpaid legislature and was created as a citizens legislature. However, when you are pouring millions of dollars into a race for a single candidate, you're really deterring other individuals from participating in that electoral process, especially when we're talking, the big party influences. I mean, a lot of times that candidate is chosen before the election day even begins. You're seeing party politicians and you're seeing big corporations pouring money into that candidate they want. And that's how they are telling their voters, this is the person that we would like to have in that upcoming election. Please go vote for them. And I think it's important that we do the best we can to eliminate money in politics so we can have an even playing field across all candidates in all parties, in all races.
Thank you for joining us again today, Mario Jimenez, Common Cause New Mexico. One final question for you before we leave. Factoring everything in that we just talked about, how would you describe the state of democracy right now in New Mexico?
The state of democracy here in New Mexico, I would definitely describe us as a leader in democracy. During the last election throughout the pandemic, we saw many states implement reforms that are already in place here in New Mexico, such as no excuse absentee, such as voting convenience centers, such as same-day registration, expansion of early voting. These are all methods of providing access to the ballot box that New Mexico has implemented and continues to look forward in implementing forward-thinking democracy to provide access to the ballot box. So in short terms, I see New Mexico and I've always felt New Mexico is a leader in democracy, and other states should really take a look at New Mexico as an example.
Mario Jimenez, Common Cause New Mexico, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.